So something interesting happened over the weekend. Prey was one of the most talked about things on social media. And one of the main reasons for that is because, well, it actually turned out to be, surprisingly, a pretty good movie. In case you don't know what this movie is, it is basically a prequel to the Predator movie. It stars a young Comanche woman, and she has to take out a predator. And surprisingly, it's done very well. And I say surprisingly because all of the information that we had on this movie, since it was first announced, was that it's going to be woke and it's going to have all this representation and it's going to tear down gender norms. I tried to find that article and I couldn't get it to pop up, probably because it's old, at least 1 or 2 years old. So when I saw the marketing for this movie, naturally it was a turnoff. I'm not going to watch this. I don't need to see woke Predator. That sounds awful. And I was going to skip the movie completely. And the only reason I watched it was because a couple of people that I like gave it a good thumbs up, so I checked it out. That was Jay Longbone and Mr. H Reviews. The both of them said it was a good movie. So I was like, wow, that's surprising, because all of the stuff that we've seen for it was stuff like this. First trailer for Predator film Prey teases Comanche girl to face off with a predator. Plot synopsis sounds terrible. What is the plot synopsis for this movie? It's all about girl power and her taking down the predator. Prey is the story of a strong woman. It's like, really? Okay, well, that's a pass from me. And I had no interest in watching. I wrote this movie off. Marketing like this is awful for a movie, because all it does is turn people off, and it also pisses people off. There's nothing wrong with doing a female-led movie. Just tell the story of it being a good movie. Don't sit there and talk about how it's got all this representation and it's going to tear down gender norms. Like, I'm serious. That was real quotes from people attached to this movie. It was going to challenge gender norms. It's like, that's not what I'm looking for in a Predator movie. And this actress didn't help any of this, by the way. She was running around saying stuff like this. This is August 3rd. This is a few days before it even came out. And by the way, this is on Hulu for free. If you have Hulu, you can watch this. Didn't go to the theaters. And it's funny, if it went to the theaters, it had probably bombed. It would have been a disaster in the movie theaters because no one would have went to see it. I wouldn't have gone to see it. I would have had no interest in going to see it because, as far as I would have known, thanks to the marketing of the movie, is it would have been awful. But it turned out to actually be pretty good. But, you know, you've got this. This is what she said. She considered Predator a side piece of the movie because the representation is a huge, important part of the story. Of course, referring to the fact that it's a Native American tribe that hunts the predator down. And it actually works pretty well. And I got it, like, the men in the movie are very strong. Like, she's not a Mary Sue. She earns a lot of the stuff that she does. And in some ways, she gets kind of lucky when she beats the predator. It worked. I thought it was good. But, you know, when you throw out these words like this, it doesn't get people hyped for your movie. And I don't understand when these actors are going to learn that. A really great example of this is Birds of Prey, which Forbes compared this movie to. Why Prey would have struggled in theaters. A lot of mentions about representation and stuff in here. The marketing they did for this movie would have killed it. Tries to make excuses, too, like, oh, the original Predator wasn't a huge box office hit either. And I really don't think that would have mattered if they had just gave this movie good marketing, which you could have done very easily. You could have gave this movie really good marketing. But they stick with this woke marketing. And these critics reviewing it, they wouldn't have helped it either. This movie talks about it breaking down. Like, this reviewer says it breaks gender stereotypes right here. To break free from the gender stereotypes placed upon her. Like, this stuff doesn't help a movie. It doesn't help at all. And this could have been, with the right marketing and the right trailers, like, this could have been a pretty, I would think, a successful movie. But it would have been doomed to fail because of all the things that got said about this movie coming up to its release. This is the same kind of stuff that killed Birds of Prey and so many other movies. I'm surprised that they're not blaming the audience for it, like, being released on a streaming service, but, you know, I'm sure that's coming, and it usually takes a few days, but we'll see. Audiences weren't ready for a Native American woman-led Predator. Audiences liked it. Like I said, 82% audience score over on Rotten Tomatoes, and a rare case of lining up with critics, which is pretty rare. Though I guarantee you that the critics gave it higher scores than it probably deserved, because it's not a perfect movie. Okay? I would say the movie is a 7 out of 10. Which is a good score, by the way. People think that's bad. That's a good score. I give it a 7 out of 10, if you want my honest opinion. And while it's not perfect, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the movie. And audiences did too. 82% audience score. And if you look at some of the top reviews, Prey is good, is kind of the overwhelming narrative. I totally love it. Still not better than the first movie, but still better than all the rest. It was really entertaining. Young people should watch it and see why they have to use their brain. This one says, this was a great installment to the franchise. Even if you hadn't seen any of the Predator films, this was a great watch. I would give it 5 stars if they made it a little grittier with no English, much more like Apocalypto in that way. Otherwise, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, you know, I think this movie would have been better if they had dubbed it in the original language of that tribe. But the problem is, like, they did do that, but it's a dub. They shot the movie in English, and then they did do a dub with the language of the tribe, but it's a dub. I'm used to watching stuff with subtitles because I watch a lot of Japanese anime in subtitles. So I would have been fine with it, but most people honestly would have been turned off by that. A lot of people like to watch things in English, which is why it just was. I understand why they did what they did by shooting it in English, because it makes it more accessible. But I do think it would have been good in the original. It would have been more immersive. But anyway, excellent movie. Going to watch again. I've rewatched every Predator movie before watching this one, and Prey is by far the most interesting and unique movie in the franchise. It was flawless for me. Loved it. Most people are giving it good stars here. And that's for the reason being because it's a good movie. But, you wouldn't have known that if you had just gone by the marketing. And I'm going to tell you this. There's a lot of people that won't watch it because of the marketing. It was just dumb to do. Why turn people off? Why take a political stance like that? Why don't you just make a movie that you want everybody to see? But they never do this. And this is a great example of them shooting themselves in the foot. It really is. It would have been funny to watch this go to the theaters because it would have been a box office flop. And they know it. That's why they put it on Hulu. But just because it's on Hulu, you still want people to watch it. You still want to say that it was a success. And they'll likely be able to do that a little bit. But there's still a lot of people, I guarantee you, that will never watch this movie because of what the stars and the people attached to the movie that helped make it were saying. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitch. I do watch parties, play video games over there. They're always fun. Follow me over there and come hang out. Also, make sure you subscribe to YellowFlash, my other channel. There's a link to that in the description as well. I do a lot of live streams over there that I don't do on this channel. Usually smaller and a little bit more personal. So make sure you follow me over there and sign up.